Hello at this gorgeous and amazing day, and thanks for joining. Today I will talk about molestation and in specifically prevention and keeping our kids safe, as we love them so dearly and we want only good for our sweet children. When we turn to the professionals for guidance and for advice, what they share with us is the following: that parents should have open communication with their children, and they should discuss with them the body parts, the private parts of our bodies, their specific names, and to be very blunt and honest and tell them that any part of your body that's covered by your bathing suit is just private and it's for you, and no one else can touch it or touch even that area of your private part, your penis, your vagina, your breasts, even through your clothing. For they're just yours. There are exceptions if it's a doctor or so on, and the conversation varies of when there are exceptions. If you look at it a bit closer, it looks good, but it's problematic. For I've had the honor to talk to so many hundreds of survivors, and listening to their stories, I discovered that telling a child not to allow an adult or someone older than them to touch them in their private parts actually causes more problems than solutions. And I'll explain why. Most survivors will tell you the same story. When they were touched, when they were approached, they were in absolutely shock and awe. They froze. They felt like they had no control. Some actually describe it as they were out of their body and they were floating somewhere in the room and watching this happen to them. They actually wanted to stop it. They wanted to tell that individual, that family member, because usually it is a family member. No. It's not someone outside, some scary person. It's usually an individual that knows the child very well. But they just could not do it. They could not speak up. They were in total shock. Let's fast forward. It's over. The child is now alone, and no one knows what went on. There are two huge burdens that the child now has to deal with. One burden that the child deals with is the fact, if he admits to himself or herself that this adult, older brother, uncle, teacher, rabbi, priest, whoever it was, that was wrong, and he or she performed a crime, that is scary and terrifying. Because the natural instinct from a child is that adults are good, and when they're around, we can feel safe because they will protect us. So if my logic will tell me that this adult did something incorrect, that puts me in a very devastating and scary place, planet Earth, because that means there is no safety. I cannot trust any adults. If I cannot trust any adults, I feel totally insecure. So what the body does subconsciously creates this whole scene and denial and illusion. And the child or the young teen tells themselves the following: really, it was my fault. I must have sinned. I must have not listened to mama. I must have not followed instructions. I must have been bad. Maybe sexy? Dirty? Maybe I caused it. I wasn't modest. And as a result of me being the problem, that adult sort of couldn't control themselves and they act. But really, I am the problem. Now, if I am the problem, it is amazing. Because then I live in a safe world where adults are really good and you could trust them and you are secure. So then we call in the army of negative angels, the army of negative soldiers. And they keep on giving us the voices as children and young teens. I am bad. I'm dirty. I am evil. I feel uncomfortable. I caused it. Burden number one. Burden number two that these survivors carry with them is something extremely complex that I will have a clip for itself explaining the complexity of how it works. Within the fear, the horror, and the shock of an adult touching me, I know it's hard for so many to admit this, but we do it in therapy. We go through it. There's actually pleasure. The survivor experiences pleasure. Some more, some less, depending who is the one that's hurting them and molesting them. But at the same time, they're experiencing pleasure, as I will explain it in a different clip. What then is the burden for the child or for the young teen? If I experience pleasure, that means I actually enjoyed it and I agreed for it and I invited it and I'm okay with it. How am I going to go blame someone? I know I enjoyed it, let alone in those cases where there's actually an orgasm. No one hurt me. I enjoyed it. If I don't want to steal chips in the supermarket, I won't steal chips. If I steal a bag of potato chips or I steal a package of gum or candy, that means I wanted to steal. Who am I going to go blame? I'm going to go blame that they didn't lock up the food? I'll blame myself. So as a result of the enjoyment that most survivors do not want to actually admit that there was an enjoyment, we blame ourselves. We feel the shame, the guilt, the dirt, the evil, the horrifying feelings. Who are we going to tell? We're going to go tell our parents that we enjoyed some sexual experience? So these poor individuals, that my heart goes out to them, for I see their pain each and every day. They are stuck. They have no guidance. They have no support. They have no voice. They're all alone in this dark cloud. To top it up, if these two burdens are not enough, dun, 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 number three, my mother told me specifically, and she warned me when I was 6 or 8 or 10, that no one, it doesn't matter who it is, should ever touch me in my private parts. So she warned me. I can't go talk to my mother. She warned me more than once, more than twice. I have now a third burden thanks to my lovely speech that the professionals asked my mother to share with me. It's my responsibility. Do not allow anyone to touch you. So they're dealing with grandparents, people that are older than us, that look huge and big and overwhelming, and we respect them. And we are meant, as little children or young teens, to be in control in a time we cannot be controlled. Please drink 2 bottles of alcohol and make sure when you drive you follow the speed limit. Brilliant! Please sniff all that dope. And when you drive, We're going to keep you in charge. So now the child is extremely overwhelmed thanks to the lovely speech of the parent that they should not allow anyone to touch them in any way whatsoever in their private parts, and they to themselves, the way they look at it is, I allowed it to happen. So besides the prior two burdens which we just explained, to have a third one from the parent. Yes. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. I'm not saying not to have the conversation with the child. I'm focusing on a different method that's actually going to work. And based on talking to hundreds of people, which I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for trusting me with your story and sharing with me your thoughts, I now have the knowledge and I could share it with the world. There is actually a solution, a firewall, a protection for your lovely child that will prevent molestation to 80 and over percent. It's an amazing method, but it's something that a parent does, not talks. And it's not about a conversation. It's just what a parent does. You can let your kid go to school, to your cousin's house, to your parents' house, to their grandparents, and you have a very good chance that they will be protected and that firewall will be as solid as possible. To find out what that is, please tune in on June 1st, and I will have that YouTube clip. Thanks so much for joining me, and I wish each and every one a life filled with love, happiness, and inner peace. A life that you could sit in your body, relax, and just enjoy every bit of it. If you or any of your friends are suffering from molestation, isolation, darkness, depression, or whatever it may be, feel free to go on my website, youaregood.ca, and book your own session, and we could talk. I talk to all of you on each and every continent of planet Earth, and I'm privileged and I'm happy to help you as well. All the best, and always remember, you are way greater than you think you are. Have an awesome day. Bye now.